Hello internet friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind Creation Miss Couture, and today we are going to do a little experiment with the fibers. So we're going to be using untreated merino, 100% untreated merino to be precise, and we're going to be speckling. However, with fiber, when you're speckling, it's not going to actually create speckles compared to when you're doing it on actual yarn. So it's more going to be a watercolor effect that we're going to obtain. So let's get into today's episode. Hello friends, I am going to be working with some untreated merino. So this is fibers, and we're going to be using my frozen blue, fluorescent lemon, and fluorescent fuchsia from Dharma Trading Co. So those are um, fluorescent pigment, so they will most likely bleed. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to be speckling this onto the fiber in my pan. So we're going to go directly into the pan today. So I already have water in here. So this water is room temperature, and I've already put my I've already put my citric acid in here. So that's going to help with the fiber to strike properly with the acid dyes. So I only have 80 gram of this. This is the end of my. When I receive my fiber, I receive it in bulk. So it's like one long tube, I guess, of fiber. So I'm going to let this on here so that it will sink into here there, and then after that, once it's fully submerged, we're going to be able to speckle this and see what happens, because with fibers it's not going to strike the same way, and especially since this one is untreated, it's not going to strike the same way that it would strike on yarn, because even when you have non-superwash merino in your pan and you're doing I'm actually going to start to warm the water now, so it's going to help a little bit with the thing to sink. So yeah, so even when you have non-superwash merino yarn, that it will still strike a little bit. It's more going to be a watercolor effect rather than a deep speckle, sharp speckle, but it's going to be very pretty, and I'm feeling like it. So I will. Sorry, I just hit my mic. So we're going to let this do its work, and I will be back. Okay, so you can see we still have some air bubble pockets here there, but that's okay. Um, so since we're going to be speckling, it means that we need to have a respirator. You do not have to wear this exact same respirator. However, you need something that will be able to catch fine particles, because this is what is dangerous for your lungs. We do not want to breathe in those fine particles because we only have one pair of lungs, so we need to protect them. Okay, so let's get into this. I need some. I will be able to do this to wash a little bit my gloves. Ooh, I need to buy more of this. So you can see here that this is already spreading quite a bit, which is good. Okay, so we've added the fluorescent fuchsia. We're going to do a little bit of the lemon over here. We don't want to add too much because those pigments, a tiny bit will go a long way. And then we're going to do the frozen blue over here. So it's going to create sort of a rainbow effect the way that I'm doing it. Or not. We might be very wrong. Okay, so we have enough. And please. Okay, so now that I've removed, that I don't have any more open pigment, I can remove my respirator. So here you can see that we will sort of have a tie-dye effect most likely, and also a rainbow effect with some places onto the fiber. And when you're speckling, remember to keep your fingers close to each other and don't open them by accident, because this is when you will have like a huge splotch at one spot. So remember that. You need to keep in your fingers and just do the cricket. So we're going to let this. I can already see that the water is starting to be at the right temperature. We want the water to be between 85 to 95 Celsius for the dye to properly strike our fiber. And here we had approximately 1 teaspoon of citric acid in the water already to help with the fiber striking the dye slightly faster, since it is a untreated non-superwash fiber. Um, so once we've reached the right temperature, we're going to have a 30 minutes countdown for this to cook properly. So I will see you in 30 minutes to see if we're good. And then after that, we're going to let it completely cool off before washing off any excess dye. So I will see you later today. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes, and so we still have a little bit of color over here, which is normal for the fluorescent lemon color. And for the fluorescent fuchsia, it is normal to also have some color left in the pan, but I'm still going to turn it off because I don't want to overcook the fiber. And then I'm going to let this completely cool off, and then we're going to be washing off any excess dye later today. So I will see you later. Okay, so I've put my fiber into a lingerie bag, so that way it avoids a lot of risk of felting the fiber when you are washing it. So what I prefer to do for fiber when it comes to removing any excess dye is just to let it soak completely. Try to avoid to move it too much, and then that way we avoid as much as possible the risk of felting. So I'm just going to let this soak for like 10 to 15 minutes, and we're going to come back to see if we have leftover color in the dye bath. Since we had some color, not a dye bath, in the bath, since we had some color left over in the dye bath, I am expecting to see a little color in the bath here. And also because we used the fluorescent pigment, and those always, they always bleed. So it's inevitable. So I will see you in like 10 minutes. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think it's the blue that I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm seeing some blue. Okay, so we are going to do a second bath because of the blue, just to make sure that we are removing as much as possible of the excess dye. Okay, so I'm going to let it soak for another 10 minutes, and we're going to come back. Okay, I think we're good. I can't tell if it's blue or if it's just because it's dark in the basement. Oh no, it's definitely blue. It was blue. So we're going to do a third soak just to make sure that we've removed all excess dye as much as possible at least. Okay, so we're going to let it soak for another 10 minutes, and then this is going to be the final bath, I'm pretty sure. Hopefully, we shall see. So I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay. And I think we're good. There's still some blue, but I don't think I can do anything anymore. So we're going to put this in the spin dryer, and I'm going to let it dry overnight, and I will see you tomorrow for final result. Bye. And here's the final result. And as you can see, we had a really lovely color penetration for the color. And we have some sort of orange, but we still have some of the yellow that has sunk underneath. So we were able to accomplish the rainbow effect that I was going for, and I'm very happy with this result. So you can see that we didn't need a whole lot of color of the dry powder to do a full coverage. So I was hoping we would not get any white patches, and we only have a very faint, it's not even white, it's like almost grayish, which it's okay because since you're going to be spinning it, it can add to the dimension of the yarn that you're going to be spinning. So I'm just very happy with this experiment and to have been able to use this little 80 gram of fiber that I had left from the big, I think I had a 5 kilo of fiber. So I'm very glad I was able to use that little bit left from that big shipment I had. So if you've liked the video, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing, and I will see you the next one very soon. Bye!